There are so many descriptions for this life. I've been heard it called a pathway, a highway, and a journey. The journey description is more accurate for me, but I feel like my life has been more of an expedition, which is still a journey, but it's a journey made for a specific purpose, such as when Lewis and Clark traveled along what is now the western portion of the U.S. According to Wikipedia, their main purpose for their journey was to discover and map new territory. And, my point is, although I didn't understand it, and many times the purpose for the journey or expedition in my life is that I was searching. I was searching for peace, and peace means to have nothing missing and to have everything you need. I didn't know what peace was growing up, but I knew what it meant to have something missing because I wasn't truly happy. So I began to search for what was missing in my life. I thought if I played music in front of people and they thought I was cool, that would complete me. It didn't though, so I was still searching. And I remember at 9 years old when I was in the room and the decision was made that my parents would divorce. And prior to and following the divorce, my mother began to experience mental illness, and which put a severe burden on our relationship, and we aren't even close now to this day. And I believe because of the lack of motherly influence in my life, I began to seek after a relationship with a girl to fill the void. And so I started dating, and it wasn't enough. And I ran to porn, and it wasn't enough. And I wasn't satisfied, so I kept searching. And then in my 8th grade year of school, I was asked to play drums in the praise band of the church my grandparents had attended. And although I wasn't a Jesus follower, it gave me the opportunity to play in front of people twice a week. So I was on board, and I ended up doing that for 7 to 8 years. And during that time, a youth pastor named J.P. Stafford helped me understand who Jesus is and what he is about. And under his guidance and accountability, I officially got on board with Jesus about 15 to 16 years old. And this is the first time I'd ever done anything like this. I made mistakes still. I still kept looking at porn and dating non-Christian girls. And I eventually met one and stayed with her, which stopped my Jesus following altogether. And that was a mess, that relationship, and it broke my life. And I still kept searching throughout it. And even though I was still searching through most of it, I remained the drummer in the praise band, and I'd play drums on Wednesday evenings in the youth group. And the youth pastor would put together these retreats, and tons of kids would attend from the youth group. And one particular Wednesday was following the youth retreat, which had happened the week before. And this gathering wasn't a normal youth group service. Teenagers were coming up and talking about how God had done crazy, awesome things in their lives while at and following the retreat, such as removing their desire to drink alcohol underage and things of that nature. And these kids were younger than me, but also searching for something that was missing in their lives, just like I was. And as I listened to these kids, I began to realize what had been missing in my life all along. I spent years searching and frustrated because nothing was working that I was trying to fill my empty life with. And yet here were these kids basically saying I had a problem and God fixed it, and I needed God to change something in me, and it worked. And I thought if it worked for them, then it may work for me. And I began to follow Jesus at that point, and I have been ever since then. And it hasn't been an easy road. Growth with Jesus takes time, and you never stop growing. But a few years down the road, having grown a little bit, I can say it's worth it. God revealed my calling as a pastor, and I've been able to serve as youth pastor twice now. God's been able to give me the opportunity to go to school, to attend for my pastoral degree. And, through that relationship where I was dating the unbeliever, we got married and we have a child, and, she's not even in the picture anymore. And I have my son full time now, but I'm able to raise him in a Christian home, and we've never lacked anything financially or materially. And so God has just been so good to us. And I can't count the blessings that He gives us, and He still blesses us daily. I'm also a different person now. I'm not the angry person I used to be when I was searching. I have peace in my life now because I have what I was missing all along. I have a relationship with God. When I looked at porn or dated girls who didn't follow Jesus, I was disobeying what God had said to do, what He said we need to do through the Bible. See Matthew 5. 27 through 28, 2 Corinthians 6:14, and 1 Corinthians 15:13 that addresses both of those things. But now that I follow God and what He wants for my life, I have everything I need, because we all have a desire in our hearts to know Him, to know what He wants us to do in life, and then to do it. He's created us with this desire so that we search until we figure out what it is. Then when we figure it out and choose to apply it to our lives, God changes us to what He wants us to be. And without this transformation, you're always going to be, your life is going to be an expedition like mine was, leaving you searching for what's missing. I notice this goes for everyone, including teenagers who attended a youth retreat. However, if you give your life to Jesus, your life changes to a purposeful walk, leaving you at peace and able to live this life to the fullest. If you keep at this walk and follow His direction for your life, it will one day lead to being with Him forever in heaven. That's the main goal, and I'd highly recommend it. It works. Thank you.